Welcome back to the weekend wrap. No production, just my thoughts. As always, please like and subscribe, share with a friend, a colleague, a relative, an associate, an enemy, any and all in between. It's appreciated. Look, let's get right into it. And just to let you know, if you do hear any background noise, there's a bit of a gathering in and amongst my house, the house next door. So yeah, I don't have soundproof walls, so just ignore it basically. But look, yeah, right into it. The Lost Crescendo, arguably the best fight card ever created. I will definitely say that the fight card delivered. I did a live stream last night. Thank you to everyone who joined in. It was a bit of an awkward situation as I had to do it in two parts. This is the first time I think I've ever done a live stream from the very start to the very finish. Although I think I may have done it on Day of Reckoning as well. But I may have skipped a couple of fights at the very start there. But yeah, look, this one. So I basically had to structure it where I did the first three fights on the first three advertised fights on the broadcast, which were all the interim bouts. And then I stopped that live and then started another one about 5 minutes straight after, which did all of the championship fights. Although because there was no Dubois and Parker, there was another interim fight there, but it is what it is. Let's run through the card. We're going to go in the order of the fights and how they played out and how I sort of did on my predictions. First fight was obviously Joshua Buatsi versus Callum Smith. Now, I predicted Callum Smith to win the fight on points, and my prediction was correct. The one thing I felt the reason why Callum Smith will win this fight is, look, outside of having the experience of fighting the top guys in the light heavyweight and the 165 division, he only really suffers in fights where he's got a smaller guy that's just willing to put pressure on him, sort of to make him constantly work, keep him sort of backing up and pushing him back. And I knew that Joshua Buatsi doesn't have that type of style. He's very much, he does everything technically correct at this point in time. Footwork is a lot better than it used to be and everything, but you can see that the link up with him and Vergil Hunter is like he hasn't fully made all of those corrections and changes that Vergil has tried to instill in him. He hasn't made them second nature. You can still feel him in the ring thinking about what he has to do next. Okay, I've got a step as I'm throwing this shot. All right, I've got to move my feet into this position before I punch. Like, nothing seems seamless as it used to. And he was very crude before, but he had the natural abilities. He had the raw aggression. He had the power. He had the spite, and everything else in between. It's like in trying to refine and sort of and hone his skills, it seems like he has taken a bit of a step back from the things that ultimately will get him to that top spot and that top position. So yeah, the fight kind of played out pretty much as I had thought. I wasn't sure if someone would take a knee, if someone may get dropped in the fight but still carry on. But look, number one, credit to Buatsi's chin. I've heard rumors before that he's maybe housing not the best chin in the world. Sometimes when he gets hit, it's almost like he hasn't been hit by someone who can really crack. And as the moment that happens, you might see him start to unravel. Well, that's not the case, because he ate some big shots from Callum Smith. Some shots I was shocked when I saw him stand up to them, to body and head. Now, the body shots seemed to hurt him a lot more than the head shots did, to be fair. You could visibly see him wince and grimace when some of those body shots were going in. And quite frankly, I don't blame him, because I wouldn't have been in there taking them. Like, I'll tell you right now, I either would have taken a knee or it would have went street tactics, because certain shots that he took, like, you don't just stand up to those if you ain't got heart and desire. So I'll give him credit for that. But yeah, look, just a punch selection by by Callum Smith was just better. Buddy McGirt, I feel, is just a better trainer overall. I feel like it's easier to understand his instructions. He gives very sort of simple, basic instructions, which are quite easy for you to follow. He knows how to make those adjustments, and just the fact that the height and the reach advantage that Smith had, but because it wasn't such a mad height advantage, he wasn't constantly having to hunker down and shoot straight down, which then doesn't allow him the chance to bring his hands back up top, which is why he normally would like to stay in this sort of position. Because Buatsi is a bit closer to him in height, the punches were able to go straight and come back. So that allowed him to keep himself sort of protected a few times. There was several times in the fight, though, I saw Callum Smith complaining to the referees. He's touching, like, you know, underneath the lettering, he's touching the guards. He's like, look, keep, you know, those punches are straying low. And there was a couple times in there where it looked like Buatsi was either, you know, he's angry, or, you know, like maybe he's trying to just get that rest. That is a tactic of his. He will shoot low when he wants to take a breather, which makes his opponent either back off or maybe makes the referee step in. He gets a chance to take a breath before he has a salvo. Round 6, I really thought he was gone in round 6. Like, he took hellacious shots in that round, but came back towards the end of the round and looked like he had Callum Smith rocking a bit. I think they had a bit of a head clash, which caused the cut over Smith's eye. And as soon as I saw that, I thought, oh, because I think that happened in the 3rd or the 4th, I was like, oh, Smith might be in trouble, because either Buatsi's going to target that, or he will go in, not necessarily with the head like forehead, but he will go in, get that hair, you know, and he will put those bristles into the eye to help to open it up so that he can obviously attack it more and make it cause problems. And it happened a few times. You know, that's the dark arts, that is the bit of spite that he does have in him. But Callum Smith was able to navigate that. But once they both basically got through that 6th round, I then thought, okay, it's definitely not going, it is going the distance, sorry, because both guys are looking tired at this point. So the punches maybe have lost a little bit of steam on them. I remember the people in the chat on my video was like, no, this ain't getting 12. This can't go 12. I was like, yeah, I think it will. And ultimately it did go 12 rounds. Then scorecards. Now, there was one scorecard, I think it's like 119, 110, which basically gave Buatsi 1 round and then a share of, I think, 2 others potentially. I thought that one was a little bit wide, but I had it scored 117, 111, or 111, 117, sorry, to Callum Smith. People in my chat were saying 112, 116. A couple of people were saying 113, 115. I'm like, I don't see the fight as close as that, people. Maybe I'm viewing this wrong, but I don't see it that close at all. So yeah, when the scorecards came out, I mean, 2 of them were closer to where I had it, but there was a 113, 115 card in there. So, you know, maybe Buatsi did get 5 rounds, but it's a learning experience. It was, you know, this was a fight that kind of shows you where the level is. We know that Buatsi is the king of the domestic level. He's the king of maybe the European domestic level as well. But when we go into, I guess, that European world / you know, fringe elite type area, he's not quite there yet. Or if he is, maybe he just needs the right dance partner. Styles do make fights, as they say, but there's either some more seasoning that he needs to do or some changes that he needs to make. Yeah, I'll leave that one there. What I will say is Ben Shalom ain't doing too well on these Riyadh seasons. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on. Next one up. Now, this one I got wrong. Look, as you guys know, I do have some ties and some connections to the Zhang team. I'm friends with quite a few people. I really do rate Zhang as a character, as a person, as a boxer. I didn't let that color my view of how the fight will play out, but obviously, I guess to a degree, that can never not be a factor when you're kind of thinking of possible ways the fight goes. I picked Zhang to win by KO around about the 7th round. And the reason I thought that would happen is because I thought in the first few rounds, Ajit Caballero will obviously, I felt like he's going to box, he's going to try and move, he's going to try to get out of the way. So Zhang will be able to, he'll be able to tailor make how many shots he throws per round. He may not have to throw too many. And then when Cabello does come in a little bit later and tries to shoot to the body, I thought Zhang's normally got a very good, tight, strong guard, which especially upstairs, he's able to block a lot of shots. And I thought if Cabello starts to get aggressive, especially like in those first few rounds, he will get caught with a return that he doesn't like. Now in the first round, he got hit with a few shots that really sort of not wobbled him, but you could tell that he registered, oh, the power's real. All right, cool. And then so he was on the edge of range in that round. Zhang was, he was being able to choose when he wanted to take those shots. So you could kind of see that he felt comfortable in that moment. But the switch from Caballero in the second round, I was surprised. I didn't think he would do it that quickly, but he jumped straight inside range early and just started working the body and just making sure that he was basically inside the arms of Zhang pretty much at all times. And then even when he was popping shots upstairs, like he's digging so many shots down, like when he's throwing a quick shot up, Zhang doesn't even have time to get the guard where it normally is. He's getting caught and tagged with quite a few bits and pieces. But in that moment, I still thought, well, Zhang is still going to be as fresh as he's going to be in this fight. It's still risky. Like, you need to be careful. But whereas I thought Cabello would dart in, bang, bang, bang to the body, work his way out and then get back out, take a breath, assess, go back in, make Zhang have to walk towards it and make him have to keep using his legs. No, he just stood in front of him and said, I'm just gonna work away. Like, I don't care what you're sending back, because right now I know that I'm draining your energy more than you're draining mine. They got a bit messy in a couple of clinches, a couple headlocks from Caballero, which made Zhang, a couple times he threw some overhand shots from the headlock or some digging shots to the body when the ref's saying break, and he's moaning, well, he's got me in a headlock, what do you want me to do? But it was funny because from the third round, basically both guys looked gone in the third round. Just they both looked out on their feet. But Caballero still had enough work rate to just keep tapping away at that body, tapping away at that body. Fourth round, they're all leaning on each other. You can see both of them are sucking in big breaths of air. Like, it's just, you think, well, they definitely, either it can go 12 because they're both going to stop throwing, or someone has to hit the deck soon just through sheer exhaustion. And obviously you got Zhang, who's about 45 pounds, I think, maybe heavier than Caballero at this point. You can just tell, obviously, that extra weight having to be on the inside and navigate it is taking its toll as well. Fourth round comes, fifth round comes. So then in the fifth round, you can kind of clearly see that Zhang, he's starting to flag here, and Caballero's having that work, but Zhang's still managing to be dangerous and throw certain shots to the point where you then see that counter left, which Caballero did not see coming, and he basically hits the deck, and he goes, oh, he's down. But when he gets up, you can kind of see he's still fairly clear-eyed. So the fact that he is clear, you can like, okay, well, you know what? That was Zhang's last hurrah there, because Caballero he's not wobbly, he's not shaken, and Zhang doesn't have the energy or the nous at that point to proper, chase him down and work away and just, and throw punches to get him uncomfortable. So Caballero had the opportunity to then get back up, navigate the rounds, dart in, hit those punches, come back. And he won the part of the round before he got knocked down, and he won the part of the round afterwards. Theoretically, you could have, that was a 10-9 round instead of a 10-8, because Caballero still won the round. It was just like, the work rate was incredible. Boom. And then all of a sudden, sixth round, something weird happened at the start of it where, Zhang turned around and it looked like he dipped down. The referee called break to the action. I thought, oh, is he about to count him? No, he didn't count him. Then they re-engaged. Up till now, I still don't know kind of what happened there, but it didn't matter because Caballero's still working to that body, banging away at that body. Zhang takes a knee. He takes it. He actually gets caught as he's got a glove on the ground. He actually gets hit with another body shot, and then the ref, he's counting him. And at 8, Zhang he gets to his feet at 8, But by that time, the referee just waves it off, saying, "Oh, you're in no fit state to continue." And yeah, it was all she wrote. Shout out to Ajit Caballero. Amazing performance. It's the third time I bet against him. And the thing is, I like Caballero. I think he's a good fighter. I didn't realize how good he was until Riyadh season came along. I just thought that the people that he was in there with were slightly better. The Makhmudov one, it was only a case of the power thing more than anything else. But Frank Sanchez, just a better boxer, and I thought that would be a boxing match, but no, Caballero turned it into a fight, and that's clearly what his MO is now. It's not, we're not boxing anymore. Everything is a fight. Can you take what I'm dishing out? Because I'm prepared to go to the trenches with you, and I don't think I can bet against him again. Zhang, I thought, would catch him being too aggressive, hit him and hurt him in that field, and he did to an extent, but it just wasn't enough. Caballero just got that dog in him, so shout out to him. And I'm definitely gonna be picking on the side of Caballero moving forward. I know that for, well, unless he fights Parker, then that's a bit of a tricky situation. Next, we had Vergil Ortiz versus Israel Madrimov. I got this one wrong. I thought Madrimov would get it on points only, and the reason I say that is I knew that Vergil Ortiz would have a higher work rate per se, but I thought Madrimov might catch him in between certain shots, either shoot the cleaner shots in the fight, or possibly, you know, knock Vergil Ortiz off his guard at one point, maybe potentially drop him. And I thought that would be the situation that would cause that would cause him to lose. Like, he might get dropped once or twice in the fight, which will basically, he won't get the same consideration that he got against Boachuk. So I thought that would be a reason why Madrimov would win. But see them in the ring, look, even though they were the same size, generally speaking, like Vergil Ortiz just was the more aggressive. Looks maybe like he filled out a bit better at the weight than Madrimov did. Madrimov moved way too much in those first rounds, even though people are saying, oh, he won those rounds. Like, to me, it just looks like you're running. Don't get me wrong, I like, you know, effective, you know, punch, don't get punched and stuff, but it just looked like you're kind of getting moved around and you wasn't doing enough work to really affect the scores, in my opinion. And I think that's that's why I had Ortiz sort of taking some of the earlier rounds, which apparently Chris Mannix and other people were saying Madrimov was taking. I don't know. But yeah, look, it turned into a firefight more from sort of round 8, 9, 10 onwards. And the funny thing is, even though Vergil Ortiz was winning the majority of that, Madrimov had his successes. And there was even some of those rounds, you know, when they're going toe to toe Mexican style, where Madrimov was he did actually win some of those. I gave him a couple of those rounds because even though Ortiz was throwing more punches, he was throwing better punches in between. There's a few punches Madrimov was throwing that hurt Ortiz, but on the other side, there's a couple times Madrimov was hurt by Ortiz and grabbed on for dear life to stop from falling over. I saw it on a couple of occasions. The powers of recovery got him out of those situations, but he was hurt. So the scorecards, what was it? I think I scored it 1-7. I scored it 117, 111 to Ortiz, I believe. I can't remember the card off the top of my head, but I think that was it. And then there were it was 117, 111, and then 115, 113 twice for the scorecards. I know I had one of those scores, but I think it was the 117, 111 one. Or it might have been the 115 one. Who knows? Anyway, Vergil Ortiz won. That's basically it. So congratulations to him. He moves on. It will be interesting to see who he fights next. Fondorov would be a good one. Bakram Murtazaliev would be a good one. But I think I'd like to see Vergil Ortiz fight Sebastian Fundora. And I would like to see Sergey Boachuk face Bakram Murtazaliev. I think those would be two tremendous fights, especially Boachuk versus Murtazaliev, another Russia versus Ukraine type situation. Sign me up. All right, so then from there, the stream ended. I moved over to the second stream where we had Carlos Adames versus Hamzah Sheeraz. Now, I picked Hamzah Sheeraz on points primarily because, number one, I felt like, look, Hamzah's the ambassador. He's gonna have that range. He's gonna be able to try and keep Adames at the end of like certain punches. and it will probably look, the optics will be like Adama's will try to get in there, but he'll get met with stuff flying in, similar to what happened when he fought Patrick Teixeira. But Hamzah, I mean, not Hamzah, sorry, Carlos Adama's blows very hot and cold. There's sometimes where he will look tremendous in a fight, then other times he looks very lackluster. Like the Terrell Gausha fight he had last year was pretty much, he, struggled badly in that fight. And Gausha is not a great fighter. He's been fighting once a year for the last sort of 3-4 years. So I was like, yeah, I think Hamzah just got the momentum. He's got that height, reach. As long as he can not get clipped early, he'll be able to sort of survive, and just sort of control it behind pace, having some couple of hairy moments here or there. But no, Carlos Adames decided that we're not playing by your script. He tore up every script that the Saudis had, basically. He was in range, outer range. He was landing good quality body shots. He was actually getting round that tight guard that we talk about, Hamzah, where he digs his elbows into his body, arms up, and you can't get through. Well, no, Adames was finding ways through, straight through, round the guard, round the sides of the body shots. Like he was doing extremely well in that fight. And by the end of the fight, I think I had that fight scored 117, 111 to Adames. Hamzah just wasn't doing enough for me. There was a couple of rounds where I could say, all right, these ones might be a little bit closer, but generally speaking, Adames just done his thing. To only then, get a horrendous score at the end of it. You had Guido Cavalieri scoring about 114, 115 to Hamzah Sheeraz. Then I can't remember. I think it was the other British judge. I think it was the British judge. No, it wasn't the British judge. I think it might have been the American judge, whoever it was. He had it 118, 110 to Adames. Now that I thought, oh, that was closer to my scorecard, but I still thought that was okay. Like Hamzah, I think he did better than 2 rounds, but yeah. And then the other one was 114, 114 even. Now, I'm sorry, you can't find 6 rounds to give to Hamzah Sheeraz, let alone 7. Even if those, like, what was it? It would have been 5, 6, and 1 even on that card. But you can't find 6 rounds to give him in that fight. You can barely find 4, and that's being extremely generous. So yeah, the fact that it was such a disgraceful thing. And then what makes it worse, you see videos online of like Turki Al-Sheikh basically going up into Hamzah's corner and saying things. I think he was saying something along the lines of, "You're losing by 2 points." Now, whether that's, maybe that's him projecting based on what he's watching, feeling like you're losing that. But to say that specifically, that means that someone has looked at the scorecards. If someone's saying you're losing by 2, like, that's not saying I think you're 2 rounds down. If he's saying you're losing by 2 points, that means that someone's told you that. Who's got access there? Why is there someone feeding that information to you? No one should be knowing what the scores are by the judges until it's announced at the end, unless there's WBC open scoring, which there may have been. Maybe they didn't have it open scoring to the crowd, but they had open scoring in the arena. Like, anyone who's around, you can tell, not, well, these are what the judges have it, round 4 and round 8, possibly. So I'm not going to go too much into that, because I don't know. But the fact is, like, the fact that, and someone who's not even in the corner realistically should not be in the corner giving instructions to the fighter. It's it's the same as sometimes when I see Frank Warren do it, I don't think that's right. Or when he brings other people into the corners of it. Like, if you're not a member of the corner, you should not be anywhere near the ringside talking to the fighters. You can yell from behind the barricade, yell from your seat, but you shouldn't be in the corner. That's my opinion. But yeah, look, the scorecard's horrendous, as I said. Like, it was literally just a case to stop Hamzah Sheeraz from losing, from getting an L on his record, which, And that sort of kind of then goes a bit hypocritical to what Turkey Al Sheikh said about, I want to go back to when, you fight the big fights, you lose. If you lose, then how do you come back from a loss, and everyone having losses on their record, and it's a great time in boxing. That's what he said. So why is it now that you've gifted this guy a draw when he doesn't deserve it, just because he's an ambassador? Like, I can't really support that. But yeah, I'm sure I'll talk about that more later on today on Fight Talk Live. Now, from there, we went to Shakur Stevenson versus Josh Padley. Now, yes, I got this one correct. I mean, I think everyone did, to be fair, but I got it correct in terms of the person and the method. I did predict that Shakur would win by KO, and I think I said between rounds 8 to 9. Not on when I said, I didn't do a video about it, but I've got a predictions league, and I told people, look, Shakur's going to win by KO. People saw my bet slip. I said Shakur by KO. So, but this one wasn't really a big achievement. Padley was just out of his depth. Now, credit to him. He tried. He didn't just come in for a payday. He tried to give it a go every single round he could, but he was just levels below Shakur Stevenson. It wasn't competitive in the slightest. It was, it was entertaining in spots. It was a bit ho-hum in others. And I guess obviously bearing in mind, as much as people say, oh, like Shakur boring and whatever, I can understand in this fight not stepping on the gas too early, because you've never seen this guy fight. Yes, you know that you probably know your levels above him, but you don't know what he does. You don't know his patterns. Haven't had the time to study him. So everything you're doing, you're learning in the ring. Okay, when I do this, he does that. When he tries to do this, he moves here. Okay. And Shakur started to get that, and he started to understand it from about the 4th round. But at that point, I thought, okay, maybe from the 4th onwards, because now you're basically landing at will when you want to. You're pressuring forward with that very subtle, slow foot pressure. Why not just maybe take an extra? Okay, it might mean that you take one shot in a flurry that he's about to throw, but obviously being very defensively aware. I know you don't want to do that, but it would have, even though, look, you knocked him down 3 times in the 9th round, corner threw in the towel, and that was it. But I reckon if you had have received, say, 2 or 3 shots in the fight, but you got him out of there in the 4th or the 5th round, that probably would have done your stock a little bit better. Because we already know that you're one of the greatest defensive boxers in this current generation, in this current era. We know that you barely get hit. We know that, your skills are immaculate. What we don't know is how you deal with people that shouldn't be on your level very often. And this, I think, may have been the opportunity just to do that. But that being said, look, I didn't find the fight boring at all. It just felt it felt everything was inevitable about it. I think that was the only issue about it. So maybe that's why some people were a bit more because they just knew that Shakur was going to win. So hurry up and do it, kind of thing. Right, co-main, Joseph Parker versus Martin Bakole. I got this one right as well, person and method. I did predict that Joseph Parker would KO Martin Bakole. However, I did not predict it would be in the 2nd round. My thoughts would be that Martin Bakole would have some energy in the tank for maybe like the first 2 to 3 to 4 rounds. Joseph Parker will just have to navigate, try to work to the body, just stay safe, let Bakole shoot his shots, basically similar to what I thought Caballero would do. The first 4 rounds, just stay safe, just stay on the outside, working away diligently, time after time, little bit here, little bit there, making that person have to use their legs to walk towards you, to drain the energy even more. But he kind of went in a bit closer from that 1st round. He stayed in the pocket, but you saw even from when they was in the changing rooms where Martin Bakole was working with Billy Nelson on the pads, he looked tired. When he was walking to the ring, he looked tired. He looked like, I need some sleep, I need some food, I need some electrolytes. He just looked a bit lazy. He did not look like he was in condition to fight. And to be honest, he wasn't. Now the shot that he got hit with funny enough, it was like it looked like a nothing shot. It barely caught him, but it must have been just the bottom part of the knuckles have literally like scraped the top of his head, but with so much force going behind it, equilibrium's just gone because he just froze in place, and then all of a sudden just wobbled and then just dropped and he got up, he made the 10 count, but Billy Nelson jumped on the apron. I guess he thought, you know what, he's not right already. There's no point me trying to send him back out here because you can already see he's slow, he's sluggish, he's not reacting well, must have jet lag as well. The whole thing was just, watching that fight, it's clear to see why the Parker team chose Bakole of all the options that they were given. And I don't blame them for that. You was training to fight for a world title. Now all of a sudden you've got to defend your title in a lose-lose situation regardless of who you pick. So okay, pick the person that's the furthest away, that's got to travel in, that they're dangerous, but they're not going to be in shape because they don't live their life like they're in shape. Now I can give Martin Bakole some grace to say, look, you saved the show to a degree, congratulations, but you got well paid for it. So there's that. The whole having to take the I think it was 2 or 3 commercial flights to get there, that was bad. But again, you can't schedule private flights just willy-nilly. Like, that's something, airspace is a thing, so you can't just charter a private jet to get him there. So I understand that as well. But again, when I say Ben Shalom taking L's on Riyadh season, Ben Shalom is the one that just randomly threw Martin Bakole's name out there to the team. And they was like, oh, what about that? So then he's scrambling. Martin Bakole is not focused on boxing. He's looking to get his visa to get to the States so that he can do his training camp for FA at Jagbar. He hasn't started training camp yet. He's not even in a place that he can get to Riyadh like within one flight. The whole thing was a mess. But Ben Shalom, again, sort of, I guess, desperate to be a part of the party, throwing people into situations they ain't ready for. Now the Joshua Buatsi one was just unfortunately he just wasn't good enough. But the Ben Whitaker and Liam Davis thing, like what's his name, the Chris Eubank Jr. Okay, he gets to fight Camille Zarameta, but that's no big advertisement for them. You know what I mean? And then everything else, like Bakole, yes, Bakole's always been their Riyadh guy, so you have to protect him. And now he suffers a knockout loss, second round. Yes, there's extenuating circumstances around it, so you say, well, that doesn't write him off totally. He can still come back, but he's now lost his IBF mandatory position. He's not going to be fighting in that final eliminator again. He's going to have to drop down the ladder. Who else have you got that you can possibly try to throw into challenge for world titles? Fraser Clark? I mean, he's nowhere near there. Who else is there? Jamie TKV, he's still domestic level, and he's got domestic problems with David Adelaide right about now. The whole stable at the moment is falling apart. At this point, you basically just got to rely on the women. Caroline Dubois, Lauren Price, Natasha Jonas, who this is their last year in the sport, regardless. Like, the whole thing is just starting to look, you might have to put a bit more effort and emphasis behind Callum Simpson, which is crazy because the funny thing is Callum Simpson seems to sell good tickets, but none of his online metrics show that he's got the potential to be a star. So yeah, look, it's a mess. Like, Ben Shalom's got to do better. I think at this point you just got to accept that you don't need a seat at this table right now. You just don't have the bodies, you don't have the stock. That's kind of the way I'm looking at it. But also, look, credit to Joseph Parker. Yes, it was very calculated to pick Martin Bakole of all the options that were there, but you had there was no preparation for you. It was risk. There was no rewards for you either. You just keep your mandatory status for Usyk's belt. That's about it. But to get a knockout at that sort of that big world level, which I think is something he hasn't done previously, is impressive. And obviously that's something that's a notch on the resume. That's maybe a weight off the shoulders as well. Although, let's be honest, was Martin Bakole world level when his best win was a prospect? his best two wins probably were prospects in Tony Yoka and Jared Anderson. So I don't know. But again, all credits to my Capricorn Uso there, Joseph Parker. He done what he needed to do. Congratulations. Now, main event. Look, I thought the first fight was phenomenal. I didn't know how this fight could be better, and I don't know if it was better. So I'm not gonna say that because I don't want to do the recency bias. But the second fight was a lot more. There was a lot more ebbs and flows, like clear ebbs and flows. I think there was a lot more drama in it because first 3 rounds I gave to Dmitry Bivol. Even though there was one round, I think it was the third, very, very close round, could have went Beterbiev's way. But I feel like Bivol just did enough. But Beterbiev from round 4 to round 7, I had him not only taking over. I thought, oh, he's about to stop Bivol because he's landing some shit here. The 7th round, I guess, was close. Some people felt Bivol nicked it. I felt no, Beterbiev still had that one quite dominantly. But then round 8, Bivol came back, and then on my scorecard it was tied again, 4-4. Round 9, I had Bivol. Then round 10, I gave to Beterbiev. Then round 11, I gave to Bivol. Did I give round 11 to Bivol, or did I give it to Beterbiev? Oh, I can't remember. But either way, I gave one to that one, and then the 12th I gave to the other. So you can go on my Twitter if I remember the scorecard. Either way, I had it a draw, the same as I had the first fight, 6 rounds apiece. Almost this very similar pattern of how the ebbs and flows played out. But the difference between this one is that whereas even when Bivol was getting pushed around the ring a bit, he was throwing. He was making sure that, all right, you land one punch, but I'm going to show that I land 3, or I'm going to show that I'm going to put 4 or 5 shots in, even though the shots he's putting in aren't making the same dent or the same headway most of the time as what Beterbiev's doing. He's still landing more, and ultimately that's how you win the match. You land more than your opponent if you don't knock them out, and that's per round, not cumulatively. So yeah, look, overall, when it got to the score, I didn't know which way it was going to go. All I knew is I had it a draw again. I said I wouldn't, if it was a draw, I wouldn't be surprised if Beterbiev got it, because I was still kind of like, there was a couple rounds I'm like, I'm going to give this to Bivol, but I could see Beterbiev. So again, I didn't have an issue if he won the fight. Bivol, I'm like, I don't know if you've done enough, but again, I wouldn't, if you got an extra round here that I haven't given you, cool. It was one of those. So again, I had no issue with whoever was going to be the winner or the loser. When the scorecards came in, I saw 114, 114. I'm like, okay, so someone saw the fight same as me. Then I heard 116, 112, and then I heard 115, 113. Majority decision, Dmitry Bivol, and the new undisputed light heavyweight champion. And look, congratulations, because he went through hell to get those belts. Like, he was a lot more beat up in this fight than the other one. Massive, nasty cut over the eye. Maybe his hand isn't as swollen, so he maybe didn't take as many shots on the gloves, but he exchanged a lot more. He stayed in the danger zones a lot more than he did in the first fight. He had to wear a lot more punishment than he did in the first fight, and he still got the job done. So my prediction was wrong. I thought that in him saying that I have to be better, I have to do more, I have to throw more, I thought that he would basically exchange when he doesn't need to and get caught, countered, and hurt. And I thought he'd get stopped. Even though, everything else was telling me, what, everything being equal, he doesn't have to change much. He can win if he just does if he just tightens up a little bit more here and there. But when he kept saying that, I'm like, I just feel like you're going to play into Beterbiev's hands. But he got the decision. Congratulations. So now they both got 1 loss on their records, but the losses are to the same person. There's still no one else on their level in the division at present. One thing I do want to say though, my guy Ade, listen, obviously you're my brother, I love you and all that, but you've got to stop the two-faced business, because on the broadcast you're there talking about, oh, we need the trilogy, oh, give me the trilogy now, give me the trilogy now, that was wonderful, we need the trilogy. Then all of a sudden you go on your video like, yeah, we don't really need the trilogy. I mean, look, I know you work for the broadcasters and that, but like, you got to at least be consistent. Don't, or if you're gonna do that, at least say, oh, maybe, you know, I'm in the moment, thoughts might change, etc. Because on the broadcast it was that. Then the post fight thing is, well, do we need to see the trilogy now? There's a couple other fights, maybe we should see those. And then the video's like, yeah, I don't need to see that trilogy, right? It's like, obviously, I guess it depends on how much of you people watch. I watch all the stuff you do. I support your channel. I watch everything on your channel. I watch when you're doing these broadcasts because I love the journey. I support the journey. But it's the same like when you'll be, this person, you know, there's no bigger fan of this person than me. And then subsequently you then tear them down. But it's like, how many people can you be the biggest fan of? Like, it's not, you know what I mean? It is a bit disingenuous. And I need to just say that. Just rein that in a little bit. Like, speak from the heart, be honest. Don't try to preface what you're going to say with a little bit of a light compliment. Just keep it real, because that is getting a bit crazy. Like, not everyone you can be the biggest fan of. You know what I mean? But I do know that you are massive Dmitry Bivol fan, so I know that you must have been extremely happy in that moment. So shout out to you for that. But anyway, look, I'm going to leave it there. Fight Talk live tonight, 9 p.m. Make sure you guys tune in. Hopefully we need to get the logo and the graphics and everything put up on the channel. Please subscribe. I will put the link to the channel in the description of this video. I'll send out the link. It's also going to be playing through my channel, through October Red's channel, through Danny from Fight Fan TV, and through Maestro's channel. So they're all going to be there. So yeah, but just make sure whichever channel you come in from, you go to the new Fight Talk live, and you hit that subscribe button, because from the end of March, we're no longer going to be broadcasting those shows on the channel. They're all going to be going just direct there. So if you're not watching that, then you're going to miss the content. And trust me, the content is going to be content, and it's going to be smart, and it's going to be nice, and there's going to be a lot of arguments, especially if I've got anything to say about it. You know me, Mr. Contrarian. But with that being said, look, thank you very much for watching. Don't know how long this has been, but I appreciate you sticking with me. It was a great night. There's still more boxing to go tomorrow in Japan, but we'll talk about that next week. With that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and I will catch you on the next one. Until then, peace.